everything comes down to market research, right? That's what I would do. Number one thing, right? I would do market research, understand the market, understand the dynamics on that particular city or particular market over there.
Hello, and welcome back to the Very Real Estate Effect podcast, a show dedicated to real estate investing right here in Canada. And I always say Quebec, but you know what? It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So today it's Canada, and it is an honor today to have Jozsef Petroczi, the president of E&S Property Management based in Ottawa. Hi, Jozsef. How are you?
Good morning, Axel. Doing very well. How is your day going so far?
So far, so good. Actually, I'm very excited that we jump into it because there's plenty to share. You specialize in high-end rentals, mostly for the diplomatic market. But before we get into it, I just want to remind everyone, thank you for supporting the show. Share this episode with a friend who's really interested in high-end rentals, because Jozsef today is going to share a lot of golden nuggets, and you're going to be able to learn from it and open your horizon when it comes to the rental market. So thank you for sharing this episode with a friend who could benefit from this conversation. Leave us a ratings, send us some questions, some comments. It's always a pleasure. So, Jozsef, first of all, you specialize in rentals for the diplomatic market. How in the world did you start it in that market? It's so special and specific.
So the history behind that, when I started my career change into property management, I started to work for the very company I'm owning right now. And its company was funded by a diplomat who was serving abroad 40 years. And myself, I traveled a lot, and I lived in many places: Germany, Switzerland, Ireland. I'm originally from Hungary. So travel and worldwide knowledge, it was on my side as well. And we started to work together. And the time came for him to retire. And then he asked me if I want to take over the company. I said, absolutely. That will be a dream come true for me. So that's how I come into diplomatic market. I learned the market with him for the first 2 years. So I build all the connections with the stakeholders, tenants, owners, diplomatic missions, housing officers. And then I took over the company 3 years ago. So that's how I ended up in the very niche market, which I like very much.
Yeah. So we'll talk about it from a real estate standpoint. But before we do that, I just want to understand a little bit okay, so how does it work for the diplomatic market? Most of us aren't aware or don't know that specific type of rentals. Can you explain to us kind of, in detail, what's your target market?
So diplomatic rental market in Ottawa, it's a very, very busy market because that's everybody all around the world have diplomatic missions in Ottawa. Is a high commission or consulate or embassies, right? So everybody needs to be here for diplomatic reasons, or all countries from all around the world coming in. So what is really important in diplomatic market to know, all the leases are long-term. So that's mean 4+ years, 3 years, 4 years leases, that the norm. What we are signing up for. So it's a long-term commitment from the embassies or high commissions or diplomatic partners, as well as a long-term commitment from the owners, right? So it's not something I can, jump out of 1 year or 2 years. So that has to be a good match on both ends. Most of my clients are diplomats as well, who are working for the Canadian government, and they're going out for 4 years or 8 years or 10, 12 years at the time, right? So it's match made heaven on both ends. An outgoing diplomat is bringing their property to us. We find an incoming diplomat coming to Ottawa, and we make a deal for them, right? And we manage the property on their behalf professionally. So neither side needs to be worried about the small things, let's say send a plumber or fix certain things, or proactive maintenance, everything is done. So it's a very convenient situation for both parties involved.
Yeah.
And of course, location is number one. Because many of the diplomatic missions in Ottawa, they have their internal security standards or internal operational policies, and diplomats in certain positions need to be in certain distance from the mission itself. Let's say they need to be 10 minutes on an urgent call, 10 minutes they need to be in their location, right? Because they need to communicate on secure lines, right?
Yeah.
So you cannot be far away, let's say 1 hour outside of Ottawa, and then you're working for a mission, right? So location is number one as well. Most of the diplomatic rentals we have, or I have, it's more like a word preservation.
A what
So
preservation?
wealth. So people like to just preserve their wealth.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so it's a long-term investment for them. Most of the time, mortgages are paid off. I'm going out for a few years. I want to make sure if I come home, I get my place back and appreciation is there for me, right? And that's
Yeah,
how they harvest their return on their investments.
for sure. So if I understand this correctly, then okay, you have two types of clients. You have the property owners
Yeah,
who, as you said, are usually Canadian diplomats who go abroad. Let's say they go and work in Germany for 4 years. They want to rent their house or their condo. They'll come to you, and then in turn, you'll put a German diplomat who's coming into Ottawa for a 4-year period. Is that right?
that's correct. I mean, either or. I mean, it's we have 10 plus different missions with us in Ottawa, and the clients are all around the world. So we work in 24 different time zones, so we can have emails from everywhere coming in any given part of the day. And yes, that's the
Yeah.
idea behind. We're renting to everybody from all part of the world.
Okay. Now, okay, so now that we understand a little bit more the market you specialize in, what are some of the specificities? Because as you mentioned, obviously location and distance to the embassy or to the diplomatic corps must be a very important factor. But are there also like some special security concerns you have to deal with?
It again comes down to the individual diplomatic mission um, operational procedures, and then you have to comply with that one. Some of them are giving us a long list, or they're sending their own inspector, and the inspector is going to give us a report, and they say, okay, fine, you need to do upgrades on this and this to be able to, comply with the lease requirements what we have. Some of them, they will do their upgrade on their own. Let's say they're going to do the security cameras or safety requirements, what they are needing, right? But in Ottawa being very safe, it's really rare if we have to do much of the, I would say, heavy lifting.
Mhm.
I did a certain lease last summer, which cost $12,000 for the owner to comply with the requirements, right?
Can
That's
you share with us just to get an idea? What were some of those extra requirements that needed to be met?
the extra requirements are the entrance door had to be had a special 3M foil on it, right, for shutterproof, right, for
Okay.
safety. Then every single door outside had to have a peephole. Every single window needed to be childproof. That means it cannot be open more than 4 inches.
Oh, wow.
Then all the kitchen electrical outlets has to be on a GFCI circuit.
Yeah.
All the garage outlets has to be a GFCI circuit. Every single HVAC, air conditioning, fireplace had to be checked by a licensed technician before they moved in, right? So these are the main things I can point out. But just give you an
Mhm.
example, just the locksmith was $1,800 for that house, right? So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
but it's a long-term lease, right? And they
Yeah.
know what they are asking for, and they offer the rent over asking. So listen, we're
Mhm.
going to give you more money, but we need
Yeah.
those adjustments in return. Sure, we made a 2 years lease, and now they just emailed me last week, can we stay another year because we love it so much and we get extended? Sure. So that's well worth the investment for the
Mhm.
owner.
Yeah, no, definitely. And as you said, I love the match that you're making between the diplomats who leave town and those who come into town. It absolutely makes sense. So, just to get an idea, like what's the size of the portfolio that you're managing in terms of rentals?
We are running around 100 right now. There's always some properties coming in and going out, but
Yeah.
we are steady around 100 properties. Already the season started, so I started to field already phone calls for upcoming season. So it's
Hmm.
also seasonality is a big thing in this market. Usually after Easter, mid-April, that's where all the postings are coming out of Global Affairs of Canada, and that's when
Hmm.
everybody start to look for property management, or get ready for their move out. And it's well-oiled machine on one end, but there's a lots of different parts needs to fall in place, right? When a family is living, right, and when their pack up place is gonna come in, right, when they're gonna pack up, how long is it gonna take? When they're gonna go to the hotel, right? Everything needs to be organized, and that's their appointment letter called PCF that needs to be in hand so they can engage with the property manager, right? Before that is just like a preliminary research, but once they have their paper signed, then they can sign up for a contract and get their place rented out. And usually those places are getting rented quite fast. Most of the time is the available time. That's the number one thing, right? I mean, I had a house in Old Ottawa South last summer. It was only available for a year because my client is coming home from his posting this year.
Yeah.
At least I had 6 diplomatic mission inquired about it, right? But it was just not working out timing-wise. So
because it's too short of a period.
Too short of a period, yes.
Yeah.
So they like
it's
to
not
sign
worth the
up.
hassle.
Nobody likes to move every year or 2 years, right?
No, for sure.
I mean, mind you, most of the diplomats, career diplomats, right? They are changing assignments every 4 years. So, look at a 20, 30 years career, you doing 6, 7, 8 overseas moves, right? So
Yeah.
that's heavy, right? Even if you are an experienced mover, that's heavy to move every 4 years, pack up your life in a container, and then go to another part of the world.
Yeah. Just for us to understand, so I'm not that familiar, to be honest, with the Ottawa rental market, but I'm wondering, on a square foot basis, what kind of premium are we looking at for the more high end and diplomatic? Like, I don't know, here in Montreal, like a good rent will be, in Montreal at least around like $3 a square foot. Give and take 250, 3, depending on the location. I'm really talking about a little bit more high end downtown. Do you have a rough idea of what is it that you're leasing at right now for those diplomatic missions?
That's a really good question, Axel. As
Okay.
the property is getting bigger, the per dollar square foot is going down, right?
Of course.
So I can give you a couple of examples, bedroom wise and bathroom wise.
Sure.
One of the units, one of the houses we're renting, it's 5 bedroom and 3.5 bath. That's going close to $5,000.
Yeah.
Right. Another house was rented for another embassy for $5,000, 3 bedroom, 3 bath. Most of the houses we're renting for embassies are over $3,500, $4,000 range, right? As a 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom, 3 bath configurations. It's of course depend on location, depend on the age of the house, renovations, and all those things. But that's another thing too. The prices in Ottawa increased so much in the last 3 years that some of the embassies, when they are seeing the prices, they need to get back to their home country to get an extra approval for living allowance, right?
Oh wow, that
So
much?
that's a challenge, right? In the last couple of years, the prices are really went up here in Ottawa, and then everybody needs to come to the reality and get approved. All the approvals for diplomats are based on position, right?
Yeah.
What positions they have, what rank they have, how long they are with their mission as well, and that will bring their rent ceiling, right, or rent package, what they can rent, as well size of the family, right? If you are only a 2-person, rarely they will approve you a 4-bedroom house, right? So probably they're going to give you a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom, depending on your positions. If you're first secretary, then you're gonna get a big residence, or if you are an ambassador, right, then you can have a different
budget.
Budget and different expectations, right?
Very interesting. So just want to go back to, because you've kind of created a marketplace of your own where you attract obviously some people who have some dwellings to offer and those who are looking for housing. How do you go about it? You mentioned that Global Affairs Canada announces usually around April. So those who leave and who are going to need to put their house under management are looking for you. And then can you kind of share, like, how did you kind of create that marketplace and how do you deal with the seasonality? Because you have to try to match housing that you have versus people coming in throughout the year and obviously minimize vacancies. So how does it work?
So Global Affairs Canada, they have their internal messaging board, right? Like most of the companies do have, and then people recommending or client plus past clients are recommending us to outgoing diplomats as well. We are, in constant contact with our current clients, and we always open for referrals, and then we're getting many referrals as well from the Global Affairs Canada community as well, which we are very thankful for.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Some of them are with us for 8 years, 10 years, 12 years. Many of the repeat clients are coming to us, right? Because usually you have a posting for 4 years or for 4 years plus 1 is 5. And if you get a cross posting, you get another 4 years and 5. So it's 8 to 10 years top you are out. Then you will be coming back to Ottawa for a year or two for training and get ready for your next posting. It's language training and, get set up. And then you take your house back for a couple of years. And then after, when you go again, they call us and say, okay, you know what to do. Okay, fine. They drop the keys. We take off and you take care of the rest, right? So it's no headache on their end to rent the place out. As soon as we are having the contract in place, we are reaching out to our partners we are working. We know all the realtors who are doing diplomatic missions, and we get.
Okay, so you work with a group of realtors who specialize in that?
Yeah, we work with a group of realtors as well who are specialized with embassies as well. I know many of the housing officers here in Ottawa, and then we sending out the information to them. This house is available for this time, and then we take it from there. Usually it goes pretty quick, 1 or 2 weeks, and then we have a deal in place, and we know the outgoing diplomat details. When everything is packed up, we take care of the cleaning, maintenance if there's anything needs to be done. If something needs to be prepared before or any upkeeps. We'll take care of that as well. And then the house is ready to move in. We move in the people who are coming into Ottawa. What is really important, I always spend a lot of time with them when we're moving in to make sure they know how to live in Canada, because it's very special, 4-season. So it's not everybody used to for a 4-season living, depend where they're coming in from. And then we explain to them all the operational systems of the house very well, how the air conditioning is working, how the heating is working, how the hot water is working, how everything is working, right? And we always tell them, if something is not sure, call us, right? We are here to help you. We know that you are coming to a new country. There is no such a question as a bad question. Just
there's
ask
no stupid
questions
question. You should
as
just
much as
ask
you
for
want,
everything.
as much as you want, right?
Yeah.
And then we set them up for success. They're having a great time over here in Ottawa. And then everybody is winning. My client is winning, my tenant is winning. So that's the business we are looking for.
And so do you have a team for when people move in and arrive to onboard them, or how does it work?
I have a team of three people working with me in the office, right? And then we always create a binder for every house when people coming in. So everything is explained over there. How they can get information on their stove, how they get information on their oven, microwave, fridge, all those things. Sounds everyday occurrence for us, right? To go to the place and you know how to use it. But if you're coming from different part of the world, it's different, right? Electrical is different here. So we have a house book for everyone they coming in. Plus as well, we are explaining to them in moving as well, all in details, right? As much as we can.
Now, thinking of the market, you said, you work with the diplomatic missions kind of over and over again, and you explained, you communicate like, oh, which house is available for how long and at what price and so on. I suspect most of your business comes from, in the end, maybe a handful of embassies or nations that have a larger staff and have more housing needs. Does it ever occur that, for example, some of those diplomatic missions actually would much rather acquire dwelling instead of renting?
That's a good point. Usually, it's restricted by their countries to buy real estate on a foreign country, right? So usually they don't do that. If they do it, it's most of the time for the ambassador or like a number one residence, right? That's will happen. But just for their everyday, stuff coming here for 3 or 4 years, no, they don't really gonna park money in there, right?
No.
So they do the rental. They do the rental thing. Some of them are having even as far as they have a furniture store in Ottawa, right? So when the ambassadors or stuff is coming in, right, they choose the place and they go to their store and they pick up their furniture, and the furniture is just provided for them, right?
Yeah.
Or some of them they bring overseas. They bring the container in, right? Then you help them to get the permit from the city so they can park the container over there, the movers, and you set up everything for them. and some of them they give an allowance, and okay, go to Structure or go to IKEA and buy your stuff for the next 3-4 years, right? So it's really depend on. It's not one size fit all in that regard.
Makes sense. Okay. And then what when it comes down to, I mean, service level, because the clientele that you have is very specific. They have to be, they're focused on their job. And as you kind of alluded to at the beginning, everything needs to be taken care of for them. And if it's not taken care of, they need to know how to find the information. So compared to just, I was going to say normal rentals or even normal high-end rental, in what respect is your clientele different or more demanding? And I was going to say, as a second question, like, what have you put in place to be able to cater to that?
I mean, for us, number one, it's philosophical operation of the company, right? We are very proactive and preventative maintenance focused.
Yeah.
So that's a number one thing for us. We have a maintenance plan for every house, right? So we take care of the furnace, we take care of the AC. If there's a pool in there, we have a contract for the pool and opening, snow contracts, ground maintenance, right? All those things are taken care of as per the contract, right? And we are proactive. I mean, March is coming up right now. I already booked pool openings. Next couple of weeks, we're going to do the ground maintenance contracts for the summer, and that's going to be shared with them. Same thing with the snow contracts. We do snow contracts in August, right? They exactly know who is going to be the provider. We ask them, you want to get an information on your phone. Then you give their phone number, they're going to get a text. You want to get information by email, right? So we really establish for them a carefree living as well. Another option, or many of the leases we have with diplomatic missions, they're asking for an all-included lease, and a certain percentage of the payment is going towards their utility payments, right? So they don't need to worry about hydro setup, they don't need to worry about gas setup, they don't need to worry about internet, water, right? Everything is, we take care of everything. We pay everything on our end, and then after 1 year, we send out balance, how much you own,
adjustments,
right, if it's needed. So people just really need to focus on their work, right? Get the best output for their employer or for their respective countries.
No, it totally makes sense. And going back to your early days, I guess you must have had a great experience if you came into the business and you took over from the previous owner. You had that 2-year period to learn the business, to get into it, and then once you were in charge, to make some of the maybe operational changes that you wanted. I was going to say, I'll make a statement, but you being younger, maybe you saw more of the use of technology than the previous one. Is there anything that jumps to mind like that you started to improve right away when you took on the reins of the company?
Yes, when I took over the company, everything was in Google Sheets and Excel, right? So it was pretty good in the 90s and early 2000s, but was not speedy enough for me and for my liking, right? So we implemented digitalized approach, and operational software was implemented a couple of years ago. So now everything is digital platform for us. We barely do much on paper. Of course, we still have a couple of bills coming by paper here and there. So all our lease signing, all our communications, everything is digital. Everything is on one place. Tenants have their portal. My owners have their portal, right? And my staff can access it 24/7. So it's a very big upgrade on a day-to-day operations.
Is it a property management software that's specific?
Yes, I mean I use Buildium, like that's the
Buildium. Yeah, okay.
Buildium.
I'm quite familiar with it from the US. Yeah.
Yeah, Buildium. That's pretty much number one at the moment right now. And again, in diplomatic missions, we need to use proven products, right? Longevity is very important, trust is very important, right? So when I was choosing my software, I was looking for that stability and that longevity, right? When people already familiar with them in Buildium, it's glowing everywhere. You go to the US, go to Canada, I would say about 60%, 70% of the property management companies using it. Of course, what not many people know is Buildium has different levels, right? What you can buy.
Yeah.
So we buy the highest level, the most convenience for our users. So they have access to reports, access to work order requests, details. It's second to none.
And for your scale, For your scale, it makes sense. And also given, as you said, that there is each stakeholder has its own portal. So the tenants has a portal, you have a portal, the owner has a portal. It makes sense. So everybody's fed the same information just in different ways.
Absolutely, it's really easy to broker a deal of something needs to be happen. Let's say I need to change a furnace, right? It's really easy to navigate from one point of contact with my owners and my tenants and my supplier, right? Because everybody is linked together on
Yeah.
that particular platform. So it's a win-win situation for everyone. Again.
Now, you bring up a good point. When you talk about your supplier, so let's say your plumber, your electrician, who actually need to go inside the house, there's a little bit more of a security component. Do you have a special process to vet those various suppliers?
Absolutely. When we are signing up with new suppliers, I mean, we have our steady suppliers, plumbers, I'm working with them for 5 years, handymans for a couple of years, electricians for many, many years, right? So when we are talking to a new vendor or somebody's reaching out to us saying, I want to work with you, I say, okay, we always need to establish that company is legit, right? So what I mean by that, they need to provide their insurance information to make sure they have proper liability coverage. They need to provide their WSIB insurance as well, right? So those are number one thing. Also, furthermore, we're looking out for companies of medium size, right, where they have staff and office stuff to supply their operations, right? This scale of one-man show is not really suitable for us, right?
No.
So we need a proper size of company, 3 to 5, 8, 10 people who working in there. So they have their dispatcher crew, they have their crew on the road, and as well, if it's needed to be, we still can talk to the owner, right?
Yeah.
And that's gonna be allowing us to do a speed of service, quality of service, and as well we can keep our cost in bay for our clients as well, right? So it's really important to have all those aspects of the business checked out if we do business with someone, right? And we always tell to the tenant, who is going to call them. Let's say they have a problem with the plumber, we tell them, okay, fine, plumber will call you. That's the name of the company. If you have any question, again, reach out to us.
Yeah.
And then, we're going to go there. Or, if the tenant is not available, something is urgent, then we, pick up the key from the office and we go to the place and we take care of it. Open the house for the service provider, close the house for the service provider, and we make sure everything is taken care of.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. And again, you do have an extra security aspect that maybe some other rental property management companies don't have, just for the inherent nature of the market that you serve, and it adds an extra layer of complication. So that's for you to absorb and to take into account.
You need to have a higher level of service. That's for sure, right? When you're working with international clientele, I mean, you put the city on a pedestal and you put the country on pedestal, right? So if I don't do a good enough job, or I don't do a superior job, then everybody can look at me. Okay, fine. I was living in Canada and I was having problem with my rentals, right? That's the last thing you wanna. Thing you want to send out the message in the world, right? So I mean, all my tenants, they're living, they're very happy. We're staying in touch with them after they're leaving, and it's happiness is number one. And as long as everybody is working very, very hard, when you are abroad, you want to have a place to call home when you go home after a long day of work, and you want to enjoy your weekends, and that's what we are here for.
And to provide that peace of mind. So as you said, people can just focus on their work, and when they put the key in the door and they come in, they have a happy living and everything else is taken care of.
Exactly. That's perfectly said.
As a last question, so not that I want to encourage anyone to enter the market because you're already dominant in this one, but let's say in Vancouver, someone wanted to start a high-end diplomatic rental business. What is it that you would do differently setting up shop now versus your current operation that you took over?
That's an interesting question. Why did you choose Vancouver? Montreal is very international too. You have a lot of
Okay, or
international agents
Montreal,
in Montreal too.
whichever.
Yeah, I mean, everything comes down to market research, right? That's what I would do. Number one thing, right? I would do market research,
Mhm,
understand the market, understand the dynamics on that particular city or particular market over there, right? As we were touched base before, speed of the service, longevity, trust,
yeah.
reliability, transparency. Those are really, really important aspects of this business.
Mhm,
So I would say you really need to look at your own values. What are your values about? And that's values going to go into the company as well, right? So my values are what is in the company, right? Integrity, trust, transparency, and honesty, right? So that's what I'm building my company around, and that's what I talk and preach to my staff, and that's
yeah.
what I would tell to everybody, right? So those are the main values I live by, and that's your company is going to show.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and the longevity of the company that you've been managing definitely shows those values. So congratulations to you, man. Wish you good luck for the future.
Thank you very much.
Joseph, it's been a pleasure having you on. If anyone is interested in reaching out to you to continue this conversation or interested in your services, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
You can reach us on online, ensmgmt.ca. That's our homepage, or you can email us info@ensmgmt.ca, or you can call me on my phone 613-265-3521. Looking forward to talk to you.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Joseph. This was fun. It's kind of a different episode in terms of what you do, and the high end diplomatic rental is kind of a mystery to me. So thanks for clarifying that out. And I think the reason why I picked Vancouver is that Montreal is so close to Ottawa. I feel like a lot of nations actually don't really have a consulates here because they have Ottawa that's 2 hours away. So I thought maybe Vancouver would have more, but I've actually never done research about this. I have no idea.
Yeah,
So
you get lots of international organizations in Montreal, right? Let's say the
true. Yeah.
aviation industry is there, the
Yeah.
space industry is there, pharmaceutical is there, right? You get
Mhm.
lots of Fortune 500 companies in there, right? Sending up people. And
Yeah.
there's also some consulates are open up, depend on the diaspora living in that particular city to serve it, right?
Mhm.
I mean, just give you an example. Hungary is having an embassy here in Ottawa, but they have a consulate in Toronto as well, right?
Yeah.
And this
Okay.
is the same province because of
Yeah.
the number of people they are serving, right?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah,
More needs in Toronto than in Ottawa for the diaspora.
exactly. And
Yeah.
plus they travel as well, right? So if
Mhm.
they need to get you passports, then they're gonna go to Vancouver. They have a day over there or two, Calgary, Edmonton. So
Yeah.
everybody gets serviced around there. It's a really
Mhm.
really interesting niche market once you are in
Yeah.
there. There's
Yeah.
lots of
And
details and lots of intricacies how they are working, right?
yeah, and it really does connect to the functioning of the nation, and us as Canada as the host nation. As you said, like it's really important to provide a good service and a good image of the nation because someone coming from abroad is going to say, "Oh, I didn't like my experience in Canada just because of some small details and factors that might have bugged them over their regularly in their small daily lives, even though everything else was fine." So you actually hold quite a responsibility in their experience.
Absolutely, we are here for everyone, and look out for everyone interest. Make sure the trademark of Canada is well taken care of.
Well, Joseph, we're counting on you. Thank you very much for this participation today. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Thank you, Alex. Pleasure to talk to you.
No problem. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. Please share this episode with a friend who could be interested in high end rentals. Who knows? And if you're interested in renting your house, so Joseph can put a diplomat in there, reach out to him. Thank you very much. Keep researching your market, make some offers, and I will talk to you next week. Thank you.